Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike. Today we are going to be doing a full face of MAC Cosmetics. Oh yeah, the OG brand that everybody used to be raving about. And I figured out that, again, I had quite a few products. And lately I feel that there are a couple of products that MAC has released that I'm super excited for. So that's why I thought we could do a full face of MAC. And this is just a brand, as I already mentioned, that, you know, has been around for years. MAC used to be the be all and end all when it came to makeup. Like back in the early YouTube days, everybody was like recommending MAC as like the brand. And I still remember those days because those were the days when I first got into makeup. There are a couple of products here that I've had for that long, I'm not gonna lie, but also a couple of things here that are very new to me that I haven't even tried yet. So I have everything save for brows and a bronzer. And we'll get to why I don't have those things when we get around to everything else. But in case you don't know, whenever I do these full faces, I did a whole host of these already last year, and I just found myself with an overflow of powders and brow products especially. So that's why I don't buy all of those products anymore, because I have like my favorites and I don't want to overdo it. However, from MAC, I do have a powder that I have used for years and that I go back to all the time. So let me just start by priming the face, and we're gonna start off with using an OG MAC product that I have never used, and it's their Strobe Cream. I have never used Strobe Cream, so I only bought it as a mini because I'm not sure what this will do, but this is supposed to be a like illuminating, glowy primer, but also a bit like a moisturizer. I remember back in the day, whenever you would go to a MAC counter, they would always slap this on your face. So I have seen the product on me. I've never owned one. So this is going to be interesting to see how it goes. Because I do remember this being like lotiony, but also really glowy. So I thought this was going to be glowier. I mean, there is a little bit more shine to my face right now, but I just tried some super duper glowy primers in the last month. And this is definitely not as intense as, for instance, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter or the Glossier Future Dew, or especially the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hydrating Illuminator. That was disco ball level. This is subtle, but it's glow. It's pretty. I do really like it. But that's the first time I've tried that product, so I can't say anything else about it. I'm quickly going to be priming my lids for the first time. I've got a second eyeshadow primer that I always use. That is a MAC product. So let me just put this Catrice one on real quickly. So for base, I have a foundation, a concealer, and a face powder for you today. Now, MAC is one of the first brands from which I successfully bought a foundation that was the right match for me, because very often brands didn't do things that were fair enough, and MAC was also one of the brands that for a very long time did different undertones. So their shade ranges come in NC and NW. NC, not cool, is the yellow tones. NW, not warm, are the pinky tones. Now, you do have to know that I have this foundation. This is the Waterweight foundation by MAC. This is the NC15 shade, even though I'm cool to neutral. So you would expect me to perhaps have this in a pinky tone in an NW. However, what I have found with my very fair skin, I'm looking very pale today as well, I have found that MAC foundations in the NC range pull lighter than the ones in the NW. So I could have bought this in an NW15 and it would still have been a hair too dark. So for me, the NC15 is much better when it comes to the foundations. I also used to own the Face and Body. That's a foundation I used up in the past. So I did use this one up completely last year, and so I repurchased it for this video. I know I like this foundation a lot. It's one of those very watery, serum-y kind of foundations. It's very thin, very, very lightweight texture, and it wears really well on me. So that's why I was like, I don't mind having to go out and repurchase it, because I remember loving this stuff. So let me just show you what this looks like on. Like in this, like I think, do they do NC and NW10 now as well? I think they do. But this is still, like for something that's supposed to be so fair, like if you look at the back of my hand, it's got quite a lot of color to it. So, and for a long time, NC15 was the lightest shade they did. So even MAC foundations for a very long time weren't that light. But when I blend this in, it works really well. So that's what that MAC foundation looks like. And then I wanted to try a MAC concealer again. So I think about a year ago, I actually purchased this and I just haven't really put it in a Shop My Stash yet. But the 24-hour Studiofix Smooth Wear Concealer. And it's one of the concealers that comes in a tube. This is in the shade NW15. For some reason, I don't know why, but whenever I go to a MAC counter, they think I'm an NW20, also in the foundation. But as you can see, this blends down my neck. If this would have been darker, it would have no longer worked because over here it would just show too much of a line. So for me, definitely the NC NW15 range is best. So this concealer, and in this concealer I found that the NW was better than the NC. It was a bit more brightening. And then for powder, the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in the shade Medium. Now this is a powder that, again, I've used one of these up completely in the past. If you know what these products, like how much product you get in here, it's 10 grams of product. And this is a baked powder and it just takes ages to use these up. And I did repurchase it. I love this powder more so in the summertime. I kind of use it like a powder foundation where I will just put on concealer and then put this powder on top. And I feel that that really works well on me. However, I haven't used this over other makeup in a long time. And the reason for that was this used to be my go-to powder. I used to use this every single day over foundation, etc., etc. Until I moved to an office where they had air conditioning. This powder does not like air conditioning. It started to lump together and it really set very heavily on the skin. However, the powder I then bought, which was their Prep and Prime powder, the transparent version, but it came in a compact like this, and it was a pressed version. And they no longer do it. But that was my favorite MAC powder, and it was also one of my all-time favorite powders, period. But they only still do the loose version, and I don't need another loose powder. So I held off buying that, and I thought I could just show them this. This was my OG, so I will just do a very light layer of this because I have no recollection of what this looks like over an actual full face of makeup because I haven't used it like that in like 5 years. So yeah, this is a lovely powder. I'm pretty sure that I can get more wear out of this. This is not super mattifying, not super drying, but like I said, this is more of like a summertime product for me, and that's also why it's in the medium and not, for instance, in light or light plus. However, as you can see, this powder adds barely any color to my complexion. I'm quickly doing my brows with my ColourPop Duo for my Shop My Stash, and then I'll get right back with you. Alright, I quickly also put on some bronzer. I use my Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzer in the shade Fair. This is in my Shop My Stash, and I need to start trying it some more because I want to review it at some point. So the reason why I use that Charlotte Tilbury powder as a bronzer is because MAC doesn't do many dedicated bronzers, I found. So I was going to buy a bronzer, and then I just discovered that they are recommending their Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in deeper shades to be used as bronzer. Their shade Give Me Sun, that's super popular, is just this powder, but then in a much deeper shade. And that shade would be much too dark for me. And the ones they recommend for fairer skin tones is just simply go to, like, I don't need to buy that for this video because I'm already showing you that powder as a face powder. So you can see that here. So I felt I could use my bronzer for my Shop My Stash instead to show you that. Now, in terms of MAC products, where I think a lot of people are raving about MAC products is their cheek products. So their blushes, their highlighters, those tend to get quite a bit of hype. But I also have some items here that I have decluttered over the years. If you get rid of MAC products, you can back to MAC them. They have a recycling program, and as you can see, 4 of those products are blushes that I used to own but that I just wasn't wearing. MAC blush isn't my favorite. However, I mentioned that in my blush collection, and people then recommended I try some of their newer formulas because, to be quite fair, I hadn't tried a new MAC blush in a few years because I wasn't using the other ones all that much. Now, you need to know about the back to MAC program, and the reason why I still have these products here is because the back to MAC program isn't universally available in all countries. It depends on whether your country participates, whether you can exchange older MAC products or empties to get a free lipstick, I believe. I think it was lipstick and eyeshadow at some point. I think it's now just lipstick. But I think it also depends what country you're in, what the scheme actually involves. I believe it's 6 products get you a free lipstick. I usually exchange my products in the UK because the Netherlands does not participate in the back to MAC program. But of course we haven't been traveling, so I still have all these products sitting here, and yeah, that's just the way it is. But yeah, do you want me to talk you through these? So I have an old mineralized skin finish. This was from a limited edition collection, which MAC of course was known for. Their Extra Dimension blush in At Dusk I used a lot, but I just had so many of these pinky mauve shades that I just didn't reach for this anymore because I had other formulas that I preferred. And then I had one of their Mineralized blushes in Fresh Honey. This was also from a limited edition, and this was just far too orange. I got rid of my favorite MAC blush, which was one of their standard blush formulas in the Frost finish called Margin. That is a blush shade that one of the MUAs put on my face in like one of my very first ever MAC things, and I got rid of that, and to sort of replace that, I bought Warm Soul, which I ended up never using. This is like a sneak peek of my declutter that's going to come up in April. I just finished filming all of my declutters, and I decided to get rid of Warm Soul because I don't use it. It's just too warm toned for me, and I felt ultimately the same way about Margin as well. I'm just not really into these warm peachy shades on myself. But what do we have then to sort of round things off? I mean, there have been other MAC products in my collection for sure. Cheek products that I have decluttered over the years, but yeah, you will have to, I have a declutter playlist so you can watch everything that I got rid of over the years, because I used to have a lot more MAC. So in terms of blush, and these are all very new to me products because I've essentially only bought them in the past 2 months, I got some new blushes to try. So someone recommended I try the new Glow Play blushes, and I thought these were limited edition. So I thought that I couldn't buy these anymore, like that these were discontinued. I thought that because I was like, maybe you can still get them in the US, but of course here in the Netherlands, no. So I'm not sure what happened to these, but they are still available, and I got 2 shades. I got Heat Index first because this is a really nice, vibrant, corally shade, and I was so impressed with this formula that I got another one, and this is Rosy Does It. And even though this looks really intense, let me swatch these 2 for you. Like full on, they look very intense, but what I like to do is then rub them between my fingers and then tap that onto my cheeks, and that makes for a very lovely diffused look. But if I just like swatch them onto the back of my hand, like these sheer out to almost nothing. So, and I have found with some other cream blushes that I have been trying that I need to go for these like really vibrant, really bright shades that look really intimidating in the pan. Then I wear a cream blush, but I don't really wear it if it's something super neutral. But the blush I want to put on my face is this new edition. I just got this in the other day. I managed to pick up one of the shades from the Black Cherry Blossom collection. It said it was out of stock, but this shade was still available, and this was the shade I wanted to get because it's the one for fair skin people. This is Dilly Dolly, and it's a very light baby pink with a sheen. So let me see if I can swatch this one for you as well. This is so new to me, I haven't even put it on my face, and it's very fair. Of course, I'm putting it somewhere completely impossible. It's right here. You can't even see it on camera very well, but I just wanted to try this shade. This collection also came with like a corally shade and a peachy shade and a much deeper shade. None of them really seemed like something I would want to wear. So I'm just going to put this on my face for the first time for you guys. First impression at the same time. Because I do like the Extra Dimension formula with the other one, but I'm just more into glowy blushes at the moment. So let's see if this builds up, if it does anything. Oh yeah, this is definitely, if you're my skin tone, like you can see it very well on this cheek. You can see that it adds a nice bit of shine, a little bit, like just the tiniest hint of color. Oh, this is going to be pretty in the winter time. Why did they release it so late though? Because I will not be able to wear this in like the next, like I think 2 to 3 weeks from now. I will probably be a little bit too deep for this because my skin tone does change a little bit over the summertime. But yeah, this is really pretty. But yeah, definitely something more for fair skinned people, that shade. I don't think you'll be able to get away with it if you're much deeper than me. And then finally for cheeks, I still have 2 Extra Dimension highlighters. These came out a little bit later. The first one I actually bought is Show Gold, but that's going to be too deep for me today because it's more of like a summertime thing for me. And this is a gold with a pink shift. Oh, I think you can sort of see it like that. Do you see what it does? So it has quite a bright shift to it, which is why I feel it works. And this was actually the first one I bought. I didn't go for the shade that most people would recommend for me. But do you just see that it's not that deep once applied? Like it seems to have a really deep golden base in the pan, but it really, because of that shift, and it doesn't really sit weirdly on the skin, but that's more of like a summertime thing for me. I went and bought this one in double gleam later because I like the other one so much. And I was like, this is a bit more universal for me. So double gleam is just your standard, like really pale, like it's not white because it does have warmth to it, but it's more of like a like classic champagne, but it does have a bit of a white flash to it. But I think that will be prettier with what I've got going on my cheeks today than the rest. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this. And the next step in my makeup routine is one that I never really show in full detail in any of these videos, but today I am, because I use a MAC paint pot every single day as a second layer of primer. Now in my declutter bin, I do have Bare Study, which is one of their shiny paint pots. This is one of the oldest MAC products that I own. This I think maybe one of the first MAC products I ever bought. So this is a decade old, but it's still rich and creamy and I can still swatch it. It still feels as creamy as the day I bought it. So yeah, it's a really shiny lid color, but I have sort of replaced these like shiny formulas and cream shadows with ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I find those a little easier to work with and they settle down, whereas this is a full-on cream that without anything over it, it's just going to crease everywhere. So that's why it's not my favorite formula. But the one, I just want to show you again, the one I use every day is Painterly. And as you can see, I've got a massive pan in the middle. It took me about 2 years to get to that stage. These products last you a lifetime. You get quite a lot of product and you only need very little. And I use this as a skin tone color primer. Now I know a lot of people like going in with just this and call it a day, but I like starting my makeup routine with an actual eyeshadow primer that is used to stick shadow down, but I then go in with this to even out my lid. And the reason why I do that is, I'm not sure if you can see, but some people call this hooded eyes. I call it deep set eyes because in my case, if you see, I've got a very like my brow bone just protrudes a lot, and that's why my eyes are set a little bit further back into my head. It gets very technical here, but that's why I have a deep crease, because if I look straight ahead, it's not necessarily my skin that is hanging over, I just have a lot of skin going that way. So when I look down, I have all this lid space, and on camera, because it kind of flattens your image a little bit, it always looks like I have so much lid space going here. Like, And I'm pretty sure that some of you are looking at my eyeshadow looks and go like, but girl, why don't you bring it up higher? In real life, because of how everything fits, this, like, let me grab a brush so you can actually see. So here, pretty much where my crease starts, that's where my brow bone starts. Like this is already, like the bone is right here. So that's not crease because it's not flat. This is where my eye socket like stops. So this is all of this space that I'm never using is all, in my case, brow bones. And if I don't do anything about my brows, then my brow hairs also grow down to where that fold is. So I sort of don't use that space, and where people with hooded eyes can create a new crease by, for instance, taking a brush like this and just drawing a line above to sort of mimic the look of a crease. But because for me, because this is coming forward, if I put any sort of like line there or trying to create like this idea of an actual crease, that only works in an Instagram picture where I do take like a still shot. That's when it would work, because in real life it just looks crazy, because as you move around and you look down and up and all that, you would have this crease just like sitting here, which it's very obvious that is just not where my crease is. So for me, the difference between hooded and deep set eyes is if you have hooded eyes, you usually have quite a lot of like blank canvas space, and then it folds over. And in my case, it's actual bone structure that just gets in the way, and that makes it more difficult because I have very little lid space, because literally my brows are just hanging over. That's the way it fits. My lids aren't that discolored that I really need this step, but it's just one of those steps that I like to do just to, like, it's just weird to me. Like I even out the rest of my skin, and then I wouldn't do it here. So for me, this is just lid concealer. Could you use an actual concealer for this? Yes, you could. But because again of that anatomy, like my anatomical anomalies, I can't talk today. But because of my my very deep creases, anything I use that is skin tone colored, be it a concealer, be it just this on its own, everything creases on me. So that's why I like to go in with the double layer. And then if I just make sure that the primer I lay down first has time to settle down before I go in with the second layer. And I set it with an eyeshadow. Like again, I don't understand how people can not set their eyeshadow base. Like if I don't do that, it's still going to crease. And then I still sometimes have eyeshadows that crease on me if they're very creamy and thick and foily. So yeah, it's sorry about that rant, but yeah, that's just a way that it works for me. I just have very, very deep creases, and that's why I can't do certain things on my eyes. Right, and then we get to eyeshadow, and I have all of my MAC shadows in a Z palette. I knew very quickly when I got into MAC and started buying from them, this was way before we got like Urban Decay Naked palettes, that instead of buying lots of their single pots and then having to depot it, like that was a whole thing. Who remembers all the depotting eyeshadow MAC eyeshadow videos from way back when? That was it was a cult. But yeah, I just compiled these shadows by buying single pans. And of course, MAC shadows used to be very expensive. If I think of how much money I spent to build this, wow, that's a lot of money. Because also over here, whereas in the US, MAC shadows have dropped in price because of things like Makeup Geek being brought onto the market. Over here, that hasn't happened. So over here, you still pay, I think by now 14, maybe 15 euros for a single pan of MAC eyeshadow. Like the prices have also gone up over the years. So I want to make a look using this palette for sure. If you're going to watch my declutters, because I didn't want to spoil you too much in terms of what I've decluttered, I did get rid of a lot of these shades in that video. But I'm filming these things out of order, so I actually put this palette back together the way it was, just for today's video, so I wouldn't show you. I am going to be doing a look for you with this, but there is one shadow I still want to show you that is in my Back to MAC section, and that's this. This is a shade it was a really, really tough decision last year. This is Sea Worship from the Alluring Aquatic collection, I believe. And this is such a stunning khaki shade. And now that I swatch it, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna go like, oh, I may want to keep that around. Like, it is a really pretty, like, one shadow and you're done kind of thing. So maybe I just want to keep it. But the packaging. Can we just appreciate the packaging? It's also an extra dimension eyeshadow, so I'm not sure if they do that formula still, but they used to do those as well. So yeah, I'm just going to play around with these shadows. I thought I was going to do a look with the greens, because I've never done a look with this, but I think I'm just going to go for the OG. Use some of these mattes, wood winged, patina, satin taupe, something like that, and then just do a bold red lip, because I feel like doing that today. Right, so that would be the eye look done. What did I do? Let me tell you. I used an array of all of these neutrals that I have going on in the top half of the palette. So I started off the look with soft brown, then I blended it out with wedge. I used a little bit of corduroy in the outer V and the crease just to deepen things up a little bit. And then embark is what I used as liner. So those are the mattes. I used nylon in the inner corner, woodwinged all over the lid. Patina is on the lower lash line with a little bit of mulch. And I put Honey Lust, I tapped onto the middle of the lid. So that's pretty much what I did. Quick and easy, as you can see, these shades still work well, blend well. And this is just, throwback vibes for sure. Are these like the kind of eyeshadows that, you know, we still expect nowadays? No. So I understand why these eyeshadows are no longer like super hyped up. However, I think if you're looking for something very classic and buildable and wearable, then MAC still does some really lovely things. Let's talk lips. This is how I store my MAC lipsticks now that I've decluttered my collection. I kind of threw the lip liner on top. I only have one lip liner anymore from MAC. I find them too drying, so I ended up decluttering all of them. But this is Soar, and I used to use Soar together with Mare. So this is one of those OG combos, and this is the only time I will ever wear a lip liner anyways, because I just tend to go for, where did I put it? We're just going to go OG here, you guys. We're going to go for Russian Red because I think it's going to go with this eye look really well. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but I have swatches with this entire palette up on my channel, as well as swatches of my entire MAC lipstick collection, where it stood last summer, and I didn't buy any more MAC lipsticks since then. So if you want to know what shades I have and what they look like on me, then you can see all of that, because I do have quite a bit of content with these MAC products. I did declutter some as well, so, but that you'll see in my lipstick declutter. So declutters are going live starting Thursday, and there will be one going live every week until they're gone. There we go. I was looking at it, but then I grabbed for the wrong one. So yeah, this is what Russian Red looks like. It's a classic red. Doesn't get more classic than this. I know a lot of people recommend Ruby Woo, but that's a retro matte finish and a lot drier than this one is. This is their regular matte finish, and like, for a red lipstick, that's been used quite a bit. Russian Red. There we go. Actually, I've used mine so much that the name has rubbed off. There are a couple of matte reds that I own that I think are just perhaps a hair more perfect on me, but this is still, it's the OG. This is what really got my love for all things red lipstick started. So that's why I wanted to show it to you today. I was already rounding off the video, but I was like, I've got a Fix Plus. I tend to use Fix Plus only for wetting eyeshadows. I don't use it as a setting spray, but I thought today, hey, for the heck of it, let's use it as setting spray. So that would be the finished makeup look for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you'd like to see more full face videos, then please stay tuned because I do make one of these every single month. I've already done tons of different brands, and I know I will be doing Milani next. I want to do Dior. I think I want to do another full face of Asian makeup. So lots more coming your way, and I make other videos throughout the week as well because I do 3 in total. So please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me if you're new here. And everybody else, also thank you for watching and all of the lovely comments you always leave on my videos. And I hope you have a great day, and I would like to see you in my next video. Bye bye!